wrote the Ontario bar exams in the summer of 2021, and in this video, I'll be going over some high-level study tips. If you're going to be writing the upcoming Ontario bar exams, then keep watching for tips on how to improve the way you study. But first, if you're new here, hello, my name is Nithya and I'm a lawyer practicing in Ontario, Canada. On this channel, I share videos about the whole lawyer licensing journey, from before law school, through it, and after. My aim is to break down this entire process in a way that makes it less mysterious, so that you can confidently pursue this journey too. If you're interested in becoming a lawyer in Ontario, then please subscribe and join our community, and let's navigate this exciting journey together. Tip number 1 is to bind your study materials. Now, I know that after this long and expensive lawyer licensing journey, the last thing you want to be doing is to be paying for the cost of printing and binding your bar exam study materials. But this is a small cost to pay in the grand scheme of things. The cost is small in comparison to the peace of mind you'll be getting, knowing that you have durable study materials. You don't want your pages to be ripping and falling out mid-exam. Hole punching the materials and putting it in a binder can work, but if you'll be constantly flipping while reading the materials, or when you're doing the many practice exams, and then again on the day of the bar exams, it's very likely that there will be some wear and tear. Having the materials hole punched and bound at a store takes the additional and unnecessary stress off of you. You'll also save yourself time, because hole punching close to 2,000 pages can be labor and time intensive. Tip number 2 is to read all the materials at least once. If you have the time, I highly recommend that you read and review all the materials at least once. Reading it all at least once helps you familiarize yourself with all of the material and gives you a general idea of where topics are located in the materials. Work backwards to figure out how many pages you'll need to read each day to ensure that you cover all of the material. There are approximately 925 pages per section, so 925 in the barrister and 925 in the solicitor. Also consider your reading speed to see whether it's reasonable given your daily target, because you don't want to burn yourself out. Speed reading is also fine. Do not try to read to retain and memorize the information, as this is not the goal of writing the bar exams. There is just way too much information to try to memorize. It's an open book exam, so just read the materials to get an idea of where the concepts are located. It's essentially a fact-finding exercise in a time crunch. Tip number 3 is to highlight the material as you read it. Optimize your reading process by highlighting key material as you go, so you don't have to go back to reread or to re-highlight things. Have your highlighters ready and mark important concepts as you go. For a more detailed breakdown on how to highlight, check out this video on how I studied for and passed the bar exams. Tip number 4, if you're using an index, add to the index with your own words and page numbers. I used the University of Toronto's bar exam prep groups indices, and while I found it super helpful, I did notice there were certain gaps in some concepts. For example, the words used to identify a concept was not a word I was familiar with, or a word that I would naturally associate with that concept. So I added in my own words that felt natural and instinctive to me. This helped me with speed and with locating the concepts in the materials faster. Tip number 5 is to set up your study area the same way every time. Every time I did a practice test, I tried to replicate and keep my study conditions as similar as possible. That way, come exam day, I can rely on muscle memory to move through my materials. Develop muscle memory by laying out your study materials and tools in the same layout in each session. So each time I wrote a practice test, I made sure to lay out the study materials in a way that made sense to me. And that was to have the indices booklet on top of the corresponding materials booklet. Because I set up my workstation in the same way every time I wrote a practice test, on the day of the bar exams, I knew where each booklet was located, and I didn't waste time looking for it. So those are my 5 high-level study tips for preparing for the bar exams. If you're looking for a more in-depth guide on my study schedule or how I organize the materials, then check out this video here. Thank you for watching, and good luck.